All right. Welcome, everyone, to Leadership from the Heart series. My name is Renee Funk, together with our co-host, Elizabeth Riley, our dear friend, Elizabeth Riley. How grateful, Elizabeth, are you for today?
I have been looking forward to this day for so long. Oh, the one and only Tom Hopkins, which, I mean, we've been so blessed to be able to get to visit with you in our past events and conferences and have one-on-one time with you. But we are so excited to have you here with us on Leadership from the Heart. So thank you.
Well, I'm thrilled. We're having a great day, and so I'm ready to go when you are.
And for maybe the small number of people who may not have had a chance to learn about the amazing Tom Hopkins, let's just share. Tom Hopkins is America's #1 sales trainer and the #1 builder of sales champions. You may not know, but Tom has authored 18 books, including one of his best-selling books, How to Master the Art of Selling, which has sold over 1.7 million copies worldwide. We, Elizabeth and I, and our brokerage eXp Realty, are so grateful to have had opportunity to spend time with Tom over the last 18 months. And we're super happy to have you here today, Tom. So let's dive in. The first thing that I would love for you to share about is you've referenced even more recently about the great pause created during the time of COVID and the pandemic and crisis that we're going through. During these times, what do you feel is most important for real estate agents to be focusing on as they reflect on their business?
Well, I think the main thing is that we are always going to have negative things happen. That's just called the world. And to excite people to say yes to the ownership of a home or giving you a nice exclusive right to sell listing, you, of course, have to come across as positive and excited about the future. I've believe over the years that people will say yes based more on your excitement and enthusiasm than your technical skills. Right. So it's important that during these times, we look at them as an opportunity to increase our knowledge level, to do what we're doing here, increase our ability to communicate more effectively, and we are going to have the pauses. But the key is to not stop your activities. Because over the years, I found that when challenges like this happen, 90% of the real estate industry would kind of sit back and say, well, we'll wait till things get better. When a pro says, hey, I'm going to keep up my calls, my activity, and all the things that we've shared with our training with eXp Realty. So I think it's just important that people realize that when things slow down for other people, champions speed up their activity, and thus they work through any times where there is concern as we have right now. And so that's kind of my main thoughts. And I remember times when I would watch the real estate industry, everybody kind of slowed down because things were slow. Interest rates at one point were at 18%. And of course, the real estate salespeople said, well, no one's going to buy. Well, if you say it, you're right. So, of course, I just would increase my activity, my follow-up to all the things that I teach, and I'd work through those times. So I really believe that this is one of the most critical things that people can do today is to, yes, be informed, but not influenced by what's happening. Because you can't change what's happening. All you can do, of course, is say, hey, while everybody else is worried and nervous and slowing down, I'm going to increase my activities because my quality activity will increase my productivity. And so that we work through these times. And that'd be my main message for right now. Put your head in a positive shell where you can't hear or see the negativity. And of course, in the media and so forth, there is a lot of stuff that can kind of get us all down. But a champion says, hey, I'm going to stay up and I'm going to be excited and I'll talk to more people and I'll work myself through any challenges that are there. Because we're always going to have challenges, but a champion looks to the challenge as an opportunity to grow, to prosper, to change. to develop their sense of humor, to do all the things that get you to be a champion.
I love that your approach is so in alignment with, the way Renee and I do our business and so many others. Obviously, you have been very influential and powerful for people and for many, many, many years. One of the things that you talk about that I really appreciate is serving versus selling, right? And especially during these times, we've seen a lot of people step up and reaching out. How can I serve you? How can I help in an authentic way? Right? Why is being a servant leader so important?
Well, many years ago, I decided that I didn't want to be a salesperson, a salesman. I really wanted to develop an attitude of servitude where people could see and feel that I'm not there to try to make money as much as I am to serve, and I'm serving, the money will come. And in fact, what I did many years ago is I took the famous dollar sign, which we all know, and I decided to make the dollar sign a big S in the word serve, so that every time I'm thinking about my income, I'm thinking of the service I'll give to have the income come to me. And also, I had another belief that if you overserve and then you will outsell your competition. Isn't that a great sentence? Overserve and outsell your competition. And that's really what I think you need to do. Be a servant to your fellow man. And when you go in to take a listing, they have to feel in your heart that you're not there to try to get a commission as much as to earn the fee for service that you'll deserve because of the great job that you do. And this is one of the things I always tried to do. And of course, if you walked in my office to look at homes, I would spend time, sit you down, ask you lots of questions, try to communicate to where you see that I'm interested in more what I can do to make you happy than to make a transaction for me. And that's kind of the way I always lived, and I still do in my seminar business. That, of course, I've been doing for too many years. I won't tell you. You'll say, what an old rascal. Anyway, so serve, out overserve and outsell all your competition.
I have to piggyback on that too, to say, when I first learned about the amazing guidance and coaching that you've given throughout the whole sales industry, what most related to me as well is your mindset around serving, and that I have a customer service background and feel that in the real estate industry in particular, we have a bit of a gap incorporating customer service into the dynamic as we earn relationships. And earn is a powerful word. You taught me to use that word. I don't know if you know that, Tom, but I feel we have to earn each relationship that we have in our life, whether it's personal or professional. So if we take a look at, we've heard some topics being shared over the last couple months from many agents about agents getting back to basics during this time. What are your thoughts about getting back to basics, and what are the basics?
Well, that's a great question. And I really believe that all activities have basics. For example, I know many of the folks watching us right now either know about golf or play golf. And one of my favorite activities is golf. And golf has got 4 basic fundamentals, and they call it GASP. And that's an acronym, as you know, I love acronyms, for grip, alignment, stance, and posture. GASP. So when you go to a school to learn golf or to get a lesson, they'll make sure you have the proper grip, the right stance, the right alignment towards the hole, and the right posture in the way you're standing. So GASP is the 4 fundamentals of golf. And of course, in real estate, there's 7 fundamentals. And the first fundamental is prospecting, meaning you must develop your own way of meeting more people. And as I read about you, Renee, and Elizabeth, your tremendous success and how you are absolutely on top of the game, I thought, gosh, I know they are mastering and working, we all have to, on the fundamentals. So prospecting is number one. Number two is what we call original contact, meaning the average person meeting anyone will, in 17 seconds approximately, start making judgment calls as to how they feel about the person. This is why your original greeting, what you say, the way you come across, the way you are dressed, because they visually judge, all these little things add up to making a good original contact. And then, of course, the third fundamental is what we call qualification, where we must ask a lot of questions to where we isolate their motivation. Because people say yes to write a check to either on a deposit or the 6 months listing on the property based on that qualification that you do in the questioning process. And then, of course, number four is your presentation, which is the taking of the listing, what you say at the table, how you handle areas of concern. And then, of course, when you get people in your car to demonstrate property, you have to say the right words, say the right things to build this momentum of positivity to where they feel good about that. And I believe in a way that a presentation is a real art form. It's kind of like Picasso in a beautiful painting, which is a wonderful art form that we stand back and we look at that Picasso or Moreau or Chagall or Salvador Dali, and we look at this art and our heart is moved because of the emotion that it creates. And that's what a good presentation is. It is a work of art, what you say and what you do. And then, of course, number five, people can't say yes normally until they first say some type of no. So we must learn the art of handling objections, which is the next step. So when you handle objections properly, you'll then lead to the most important thing that we teach, which is closing the sale, which is number six, which is when you move from demonstration presentation, giving your listing presentation to where you go into the close properly to move them to from the possible no they might have thought of in the beginning to the yes where they put the paperwork. And then, of course, step seven is something that most salespeople don't realize the importance of having the 6 steps to getting referrals, to where you get a person who's happily involved in a home or who's giving you a 6-month listing. And then, of course, you bring back the transaction and close that listing where you get 3 more qualified listing leads. So getting the referrals is critical. So my goal in teaching is to take those 7 or 6 fundamentals or 7 fundamentals and teach people step by step. Here's how you do this. Here's what you say. And my 4th year, I think I taught you guys this. At my 4th year, I happened to hit the ball where I had 365 homes that I sold that year, which no one had ever done a sale a day average. Now, of course, I didn't have one every day. I might do 5 on a Saturday and Sunday, and then 2 during the week. But my broker called me in, and he said, Hopkins, I don't know if you know this, and it was about November 15th. And he says, I don't know if you know this, but you're on target to sell an average of 1 home sale a day based on how many you've sold. Well, I hadn't been counting. And he said, if you do that, and we can boast that you've sold 365 homes in 365 days, your life is going to change. Because people will invest not only their time and energy and money, but to learn how you did it, what you said, what you did. And of course, those 7 fundamentals, if a person masters them and works on them, they have to not only make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, but build their net worth to where they literally enjoy the golden years of their life, financially independent, having not only a nice income, but not having to worry about money. One thing about real estate is you've got the best investment a person can have. So besides, I think, selling property, a person has to build in their own net worth and equities. And so that's kind of an overview of what the fundamentals are, and how I hope the people, that are letting us teach them will say, okay, Tom's going to tell us what to say and do. We're just going to copy it. And we'll tell you later how you all have access to all of my training thanks to Glenn Tanford and EXP.
Well, and what you're teaching and those fundamentals, that bringing them all together, it's allowing you to make decisions not financially led, right? So you don't have to lead for reasons of financial, or I have to make it transactional. It's allowing you to make the right decisions based on truly serving others. And I think that's so valuable in what you've shared with us so many times, not even just today. It's that freedom. I don't have to let the dollar dictate what decisions I make, or what bad listing I take, or what agent or what buyer I work with that's not really going to benefit anybody, right? So it's setting up for success. And again, instead of just jumping in, it's like, okay, we all have to have a plan. So speaking of that, you always teach about the importances of little nuances, right? So separating the top producers from the, if you will, the mediocre agents. Share some of those, a couple of those that you think stand out to you.
Well, I have a thing that I call the success kit, KIT. And the success kit, and again, an acronym, the KIT stands for keep in touch. Because I totally believe that the top income earners in real estate are what I call follow-up fanatics, to where they keep in touch with people, they follow up, they are going to earn the right. And you said the right word, Renee. You earn the right to have your business, to close sales and listings. And I think you earn it by not only giving the service, but having the heart that you have for people, where they feel that you care more about them. And I also try to teach this. I really want people that start making a good amount of money, because if you have the ability to live for even 6 months without making a dime, and I'm just throwing out a figure, you come across differently than when you're sitting there talking to people with a feeling like, man, I've got to get this listing because I need the money, or I've got to make this sale. And you guys' phenomenal success, of course, is evidenced by this basic belief that you make most when you least need to make most. And so we all have to set a goal. And that's one of the things in my goal setting program, where our short-term and long-term financial goals have to be committed to, put in writing, put down on what I call life's blueprint, so that you really know what every day you're working for. And so again, people, I try to, when I had my 18 salespeople in my office when I was a manager, I used to tell brand new people, you tighten up your belt, you and your wife or husband say, okay, the dinners are out, the money is not going anywhere, but to where I can say I can live this long without needing to have a dime, because you come across differently when you financially are independent, or at least don't need to pay the rent this next month with what the commission would be. So that's kind of one of my real firm beliefs. Okay. Also,
That's a
desperation is never a good way to run your business.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the other things is try to be different from the average people in sales. And I'll give you a vivid example today. And again, this is a personal belief, but I tried to find things that average people did that I could do differently to be different than the average. And one thing I learned over the years, and again, I'm not being negative here, but many people in the whole field of sales, not just real estate, but they don't have a fanatic feeling about punctuality. And I always did. In fact, I bragged about it. And I'd love the folks that are listening to maybe try this, because there is a truth that, because the way selling the whole field is, many people run late, or they have a 10 to 15 minute challenge of being on time. And I was fanatical. If I was to see you tonight at 7 at your home, I would drive up, watch my watch to the second, and hit that door at 7 o'clock on the button. Then when you opened it, I'd say, "Hi, Mr. Johnson. I'm Tom Hopkins with eXp Realty. And well, we had an appointment at 7, and boy, it's right at 7. How are you tonight, sir?" Now,
Oh, you would say it. You would articulate it.
Yes, I brag about it. "Hi, Mr. Johnson. My name is Tom Hopkins with eXp Realty. We had an appointment at 7, and oh, it's right at 7. How are you, sir?" Now, the other two realtors that may be coming from other companies, they'll usually be late. So right in the beginning, as they decide who to choose, if I don't get the listing, I have one of those little ups because I did something that no one else did. And so I'm going to just make that a suggestion. And again, I had salespeople in my office that would have this tendency to be late, and I'd have sellers call me because it was supposed to be there. And so I'd chew them good. I'd say, "Hey, guys and gals, people expect there are fanatical people about their time to where they're really mad. You're 10 minutes late, and they're sitting there going, well, I don't know if I want to give you a listing if you can't even be on time for our visit." Yeah. So that's one of the things that I would suggest. That not only the success kit, keep in touch, follow up till they list or buy or die. And that's kind of always been my belief. But anyway, so that's kind of the my two ideas: success kit and be a punctual and brag about it.
I have to say the punctual is pretty brilliant. So I am just like that. I cannot stand being late, but I always say it's because my dad would tell me, my dad was military. My dad would say, if you're on time, you're 5 minutes late. And so I cannot stand being late. If other people are late, then that's on them. But I love what you're saying about bragging about that. I've never thought about that, but it does set you apart because time is valuable to people and precious. And you're not, most of the time, if they're not bringing it to their awareness, I mean, I just think that's brilliant. I'm absolutely going to implement that immediately because I'm the one always on time. Apart from some of the others, and I love that.
Well, and the great people I've ever met or had spent time with many years ago, Vince Lombardi, of course, the great old 4 national championship winners of the Green Bay Packers. He would say, if you're not 15 minutes early and hit the pinion, you were running late. Yeah. And so all these little things I picked up. And then, of course, what I felt with some people, not everyone, but just kind of being sensitive to the time. You said 7 and then bragging about it by looking at your own watch. It kind of sets the whole stage in the beginning. I do what I say, and I'll be sure to not do anything other than what I say I'm going to do. So I think that might be an idea, and I'm so thrilled, Elizabeth, to hear that you're going to start doing it. You'll have fun with it. First few times you do it, you'll kind of chuckle to yourself because you'll see the feeling of the person. Like, that's very nice. We had 2 other realtors that were a half hour late. Nice to have you here on time. Because there are people like you, Elizabeth, that are kind of fanatical, and like me, kind of fanatical on the importance of minutes and time. Sure.
We can attest to being in many meetings and opportunities to have you speak with us in our brokerage and at events, and you are always on time. You're actually early, as well as even today. So we appreciate that. I am also punctual. However, you just taught me something new again, as you always do, that I had never thought to actually state it. It's brilliant. And I too will implement that immediately, as well as our team. So another good nugget. Whenever you speak, there's always a ton of nuggets that you share. I hope you know that.
Well, I love to share the nuggets. I want you all to have a lot of gold.
We appreciate that. Let's talk about, and I know there's more than 3, but let's talk about the top 3 fear-producing rejection words that we as sales professionals can encounter at times.
Okay, well, there are, as you said, more words. There's 17 in our training that we try to get salespeople to eliminate because they are what we call fear producing. And if there is one reason underlying emotionally that people have a tendency to either stall the decision, put you off, procrastinate, or literally say no, it's because you've said words that threaten them. And I call these 17 words sales jargon. And if you met me at a party and we're talking, and you walked up to me and you said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a carpenter and I build houses and I use a hammer and nails, and that's what I do." Well, you wouldn't be threatened by a carpenter. But if you came up to me and said, "What do you do?" and I said, "I sell real estate, and so glad you came to say hi," right away they heard the word sell, which is a word you don't want to use, and they put up defenses because they know that you, in essence, are going to try to sell them. So there are, of the 17, the three that I would hope people would never use. The first is commission, because that is one thing they don't want to pay. And of course, many of them will even ask you that. They'll say, "Well, what do you guys get, or how do you get paid?" Well, I would never say we, of course, get a commission. We don't ever say commission. It's the fee for service. Fortunately, our company has built a fee for service into all of our transactions. I can assure you, though, Mr. Johnson, that the service you receive from myself and eXp Realty will far outweigh the fee. And that's what you really want, isn't it?
Yeah. That's perfect advice.
Now, the second word that you don't want to say is contract. Don't call your paperwork, the listing form, or the deposit receipt on the contract of the home. Don't call it a contract, because, if you say to a person, "Why don't we just kind of go over the contract and see how it looks?" right away the fear comes up where they start saying, "We're not putting our name on anything. We're not signing anything. Contract means sign. I don't want that." So we always call it the paperwork or the agreement. Why don't we just draft up our feelings? I like drafting up our feelings on the paperwork and see how it looks. And so I used to say, "Why don't we draft up our feelings on the agreement?" See, people love agreements. We are agreeing on something. Whereas if I say, "Why don't we see how the contract looks?" right away they go, "Uh-oh, now he's going to want me to give me money and sign it." So just drop contract, paperwork, agreement. And of course, the third words, there's two of them. Don't say the word sell or sold. We sell a lot of homes in this area. Well, of course, that went into the subconscious of the listener and said, "Oh, you sell. Okay, you're pushy then. You must be pushy people." Or, "We sold a lot of homes." Or, don't drive into a neighborhood and see a property with your sign on it and go, "Yes, we sold this home." So I never use sell or sold. I use get them happily involved. We've gotten lots of families happily involved in this neighborhood. And I'm so looking forward to getting you involved in a good moving opportunity when we take this wonderful home on the market. See, I didn't say take a listing. Put this home on the market, which again is not getting that thought of contract or listing into their subconscious. So seller sold is get them happily involved. We've gotten a lot of families involved in our marketing program, and I always called it not a listing, a marketing program. And that, of course, is letting them hear that term, which, of course, many people try to sell their homes themselves before they call a broker. They're trying to avoid the fee for service commission. And so they are nervous about the listing. So I try never to use those type of words that would bring up this four-letter word fear and have them then procrastinate. So those three, I hope everybody watching will just say, never say commission, contract, or sell or sold. And you'll see a lot better improvement in the number of people that say yes to your proposal.
I like the word agreement because I'm always telling my client, this is a partnership, right? And so when you're utilizing the word agreement with that same kind of concept, it makes them feel like they're all on the same page. And I'm not just telling them what to do, that they actually have a lot of input in the decisions. So I do like changing that verbiage to agreement because it aligns with partnership. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's so good. That feeling of partnership is kind of like it's a team effort that we're going to put forth to not only find you the right property, get the right financing for you and your family, make sure your monthly investment is something you can nicely handle. And this type of coming across is, I think, why you two were superstars and why I was fortunate to help a lot of people say yes to their opportunities as well.
You just used a phrase that I've heard you use before and you've taught me to use, and that's monthly investment. And when possible, to reference investment, which is really what it is, right? I mean, we're helping homeowners make an investment into their future. So that is an interesting phraseology shift. Instead of saying mortgage payment, it's a monthly investment.
Definitely. That's another one of the 17 words. Because if they hear you say monthly payment, they analyze their bill subconsciously. And right away, they're figuring, can I afford it? And of course, with the appreciation we've had and enjoyed in our country, uh, many people are a little knocked out when they hear what the monthly investment will be. And
Yeah.
so I tried to eliminate down payment. It's not a down payment, it's the initial investment. And that way, of course, it's not because they hear down payment and right away they go, oh, I got to write a check. But the initial investment doesn't hit them with that fear producement.
Well, it's actually true. I mean, that's what it is, right? And again, one of the many reasons why I love the way you approach the business with the servant leadership that you display is that these phrases, these little nuances, there's subtleties to them, but they're important and they can change the way you do business. So it's really great to hear you remind everyone of these subtle differences we can make.
And that's true. I used to watch brand new people and I'd sit behind them in their, at a desk behind new people and hear them talk to the client. And afterwards, I'd bring them to my office and I would say, I've made some notes here, but I could feel the emotional fear build in the person at the table across from you, the consumer, because of a few of the words that you had said. So let's work on this. And of course, I used to have a contest where I, have the 17 words and I'd have them take notes and then have them stand up and say the words in the sentences and role play with each other. Because I really feel you have to practice all of this. And as I've mentioned to you folks, PDR, practice, drill, and rehearse, is going to make the difference between you making a lot of money and some money. I totally believe that.
We are so incredibly blessed and fortunate. And I know I said that early on, but we truly are. I mean, you're really involved in our leadership. You're really involved in our company. You're really involved in giving back to all of us as agents. And it's very selfless. And I'm hearing you, and I've heard you many times with icon meetings or in your speeches from the stage or what have you. I've heard you say all these things, but to hear it over and over and over again is such an amazing reminder that this is how I elevate my business. This is how we elevate our service. And as a whole, this is how we elevate the industry. So It's so amazing to have your knowledge and your experience. And I mean, your whole career is inspiring, and records that have been broken. And I mean, you just continue to give. I mean, the reality is you don't have to continue to give. You're giving from your heart time after time after time. So, but with all of this, tell us, what are you most proud of? If you look at your whole career, all the things that you've done, all the stories that you've made an impact on, what are you most proud of?
I would say what I'm most proud of is what happened to the people who I helped nicely say yes and invest in a property. Uh, I, I was in San Francisco doing a seminar a couple of years ago, and a man came up to the stage at the break, and I was autographing some books, and he came up to the stage and he said, "Tom, I know you don't recognize me," and I didn't. He said, "But I really didn't come to the seminar for the training. I came to thank you." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, because in the early 60s, believe it or not, we came into your real estate office totally intending to rent a home. And after you established some rapport, you basically asked my wife a question. And you put up your hands and said, 'Now, Mary, I just want to ask you a question. If I in this hand held a home that you could rent and pay for the landlord's mortgage, or I could hold up this hand and have a home in here where you every month would write a check where you're building your equity and you had home ownership, which would you really prefer most, to rent or to own?'" Well, of course, that's when she would come out. "Oh, Mr. Hopkins, we just don't know if we can buy a home. We don't have hardly any money." I said, "So your only hesitation is the financial part of it?" "Well," she would say, "yes." "Well, if I can, with creative financing, get you into a property that you can own for about the same financial investment you would make in renting, will you open your mind to that?" Great question. Would you open your mind to that? And of course, that's a minor agreement. Well, we could certainly look at it. Well, good, because I have a couple properties that, well, to me, are going to be a fine investment for the future. So I'm so thrilled. Let's kind of do a combo. I'll show you some of the rental properties, but I got a couple that I want to show that I think with creative financing, we might be able to get you into. Are you open to that? And of course, always nod. Are you open to that? Well, I guess we are. And so here we go. We're on our way. But I would say the thing I'm proudest of is the 1,553 people who invested in a home with me over the 8 years I was in the real estate business, and how I know many of them, because he told me, he said, "Tom, we paid," I think he said 25,000, because that's what homes were in the 60s, 25 to 40, max 40, 50. I know it's hard to believe. But he says, "We are retiring this year, and we just sold our home for over 550,000. And we have the greatest part of our net worth for retirement because you wouldn't let us say no to owning that home. And in all those years, we've enjoyed it, but now we can retire with almost $500,000 thanks to you helping us say yes to ownership instead of renting." And I think those are the type of things that I'm most proud of. And little things. I had an older couple come in and they had a home they had to sell. It was too big. And I had a young couple come in the next day. They wanted a larger home. And so having them trade their properties, making the older couple happy with the smaller home and younger couple happy with the larger home. I mean, these are the things that you just get so excited about in this fabulous real estate business. I mean, I'll tell you, people, I have to be careful, but people say, "Tom, if you could go into any business, what would you choose?" And of course I say I have to be prejudiced, because I made 8 years of real estate starting absolutely flat broke, no car. I didn't have a car. I was on a motorcycle. And to show homes, them following me on a motorcycle, renting a little cheap home myself because I had no money, and then to end up after 8 years with the financial independence, I got to tell you that real estate is, in my opinion, the most fabulous opportunity. And so get excited, because you're all very blessed to be in this wonderful business.
You just make me smile. I mean, when I hear you sharing your thoughts on that, what keeps going through my mind is all the families that you were able to serve over time. And also thinking about, Elizabeth and I both feel the same way about our work, and that we do something very special. We are helping the nation. We're helping our community with home ownership, where they build the memories with their families. So think about all of the families you served and all the beautiful memories that were in those homes over the years. It's special. And I love hearing you share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I pinched myself. And I think that the real estate people that are watching us now, you know, a lot of people say, Tom, if you were to give me one really important word of advice, what would it be? And I really hope the folks will take this to heart. Work harder on yourself than you do on your real estate job to become a person that people like, trust, and want to listen to. Because see, if you do those three things with people, where all of a sudden they were afraid of you, but hey, I like you. Or all of a sudden, you know, I didn't trust many salespeople, but I trust you, Tom. And then, of course, many people come into your office, meet you, and they have to listen to you because you're the salesperson. Or you take a listing and they have to sit at that table and listen. But the key is to be not only become a master asker, which I've taught you guys to be great questioners and listeners, not tellers and talkers, but if you create this relationship where you work on you, your personality, your temperament, the way you come across with people, where they feel I love this program on the heart, because I really believe that this is what people need today. And I think that during these times, a couple of things I want to say. Yes, it's important that we are informed, but not influenced by what happens in the world. And there's such negativity and such fear right now, and not only in all that's going on, but you've just got to kind of put that positive shell on you and say, I'm not going to listen to this stuff. The news and media is not going to get me. And of course, I also am just thrilled. I can't tell you how thrilled I am that Glenn Sanford and EXP have literally got the exclusive rights to all of my real estate training. And the reason I'm thrilled about that is I think that not only is EXP exploding and just growing like crazy, but I also feel that by having my training as part of your company, which they have, the only company that can use my real estate training is EXP. And I'm pumped about that. And I'm thrilled that Glenn and his company kind of said, we're going to get Tom into our university and library. And so I hope the folks that are enjoying what we do will just maybe say, I'm going to get Tom's real estate CDs and put them in my car and listen and listen and listen until his words and his phraseology all become a natural part of me. And I'd love that to be happening.
It is happening.
We talk about all the time people we look up to and we admire. And, you know, Glenn Sanford's one of those people for us. We've always looked up to Glenn and we listen to him. And to find out that you were one of his idols for so very long and so many years, and then we're fortunate to have you into the EXP family. I mean, it's that gift that keeps on giving, right? And you talk about, and your words are so powerful because, you know, one thing that always sticks in my mind is everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold, right? Mm-hmm. And I am very much like that. I don't want to be sold. If you're going to try and sell me, you've lost me. And so I've really focused on my business to, you know, serve from the heart and be there for people, but to be surrounded by like-minded individuals, to be surrounded by your teachings and your trainings, it just makes me a better agent, better person, better friend, whatever. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be your words going into just my business, right? It's going into my life, and it's powerful. So when Glenn told us, you know, and started doing his interviews with you, we were all super excited because we're like, oh wow, this is Glenn's idol. And so now we get to benefit from that as well.
Well, and I just read all about you two this morning because they sent me all your backgrounds and your biography. And of course, you're superstars. And here you are looking to learn. And I've really learned over the years, don't miss this, great income earners are great learners. You got that?
Yeah.
Great
Well
income
received.
are great learners. So I try to get people to stay in school, keep reviewing material, invest in training, and please turn your cars into classrooms. Almost every car today has a CD player. And you're going to drive in your real estate career approximately 5,000 hours behind the wheel of your lifetime. Now, that can be either music, negative news,
Mhm.
or it can be motivation, training, ideas, concepts. And boy, there's so many things in libraries of training and motivation. And I think superstars are constantly looking for creative ideas, better ways to say things, better ways to keep an attitude. Because attitude, as I've said before to all of you, attitude is everything. How high do you want to fly? As far as your altitude will be based on your attitude, because I
Yeah.
believe it is everything. So I saw Jen Durbin just put on there, great, great, great earners are great learners. Thank you.
It's so important. It's so important, Tom. And here's the thing is you still are such a great inspiration. When I say that every time you speak, we learn something, it's powerful. The fact that you decided to share time with Elizabeth and I today is we're just honored to share time and to share all of your golden nuggets, as I like to say. I'm taking notes every time, and I'll share with you every time you and Glenn have a video that you'll do in the Selling Like a Champion group that we have. We replay it to our team.
Mhm.
And we take notes.
Good.
And then we go into implementation because you have to repeat it over and over again so that it becomes habit. But I want you to know that we're all listening and we all hear you and we're getting into action. So thank you.
My pleasure. I've so enjoyed this time.
We have one hot seat question for you, and that's it. One
All right.
more. Ready? It's a tough one.
Okay.
What does leadership from the heart mean to you?
First of all, right now in the world, you'll see people on TV, you'll see people in the media who will hold up their hands like a little heart, and they make a heart of their hands. And that is kind of a way of saying, I love you. And that's showing my heart to you. And I have always believed that if you love people and use money instead of using people and loving money, you will not only make money, but you'll have a wonderful, grateful life. And I feel the gratitude of success is a wonderful feeling. And of course, I only took 3 days off my first 3 years in real estate, 3 Christmas days in 3 years. And I was always tried to be normally the first one in and then the last one to get home. Would I do it again? I don't know, but I paid the price. And the fourth year when I closed 365 homes, I was all based on the momentum that I had built by talking to more people, more prospecting, follow up, follow up, follow up, all the things that we've talked about. And of course, I continue to share, which I'm thrilled to share. But just have the heart of a champion and the love for your fellow man. And if you have that and it's sincere, it's not a phony thing to make money. People will feel that. Uh, I am just not winding down, but slowing down my seminar career because after 40 years of being on a plane every single week somewhere in the world, it's kind of time for me to have a little more time. And I'm enjoying it. I'm getting my golf back a little bit. Anyway, uh, but I think just have this feeling of caring for people, and if you love them and they feel it, and you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, believe me, people will not want to follow you, but they'll do business with you not only once. I have had some folks, I found 4 to 5 homes in the 8 years I was in real estate, moving them up, they'd make a better income. I'd market the home. I'd found them a year and a half, 2 ago, then moved them into a larger property. And it was just a blast. So you that are out there, smile, be happy, and be thankful that not only are we in the greatest country in the world, and if you could travel with me to some of the countries, I recently came back from Manila, and if you drive 2 to 3 miles from the airport in Manila, the Philippines, and you see the way the folks live and what they have as homes, you come back and you've heard the old saying, kiss the ground that you walk on. Well, I've gotten off of my plane before and literally wanted to get down and kiss the ground because of this great country. So be thankful and thank God that we're blessed to live the way we can live here in the great U.S.
We adore you, Mr. Tom Hopkins. I can't even, oh my goodness, this was so amazing. Elizabeth, how? I just.
We are, yes. And it's funny you mentioned the whole heart because we do that a lot. We always do that to close out the show. And so Tom.
It's for you.
And we so adore you and we so appreciate you. And we're so grateful that you spent your time with us today.
Well, keep in touch.
Absolutely.
I look forward to the next time we meet. And again, I salute you both for being superstars. And thank you all that are watching. And if we can add a little bit of success to your life, then we're doing the right thing. And because you're using what we teach, so are you. All of the best.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You as well, ladies. Thank you.
Bye-bye.